Hello to Jamel and any of the other Recs that might be seeing this video. This is Brandon Bure, and I am recording my video for answering my RA reapplication questions. So when I talked to Tanisha about these questions and sort of reflected on my own personal experiences as an RA throughout the year, I wanted to make this video more of sort of a freestyle response on, what I've heard from other people in terms of feedback, and also my own personal thoughts and how I've grown as an RA, between the job and everything else in this position. And I think that's kind of the, start to the first question, how I transition here is, when I reflect over my RA experience this year and sort of the past couple months and what I've learned through training and mid-year training, I think one of the biggest accomplishments that I'm very proud of as an RA is, the fact that I have this individuality as one of, the only DePaul finance majors, and sort of, that whole perspective that, business students can't really be an RA and build community and sort of break through that wall and barrier and become my own individual RA and sort of help out with residents and have that individuality. And I think that's one of the biggest accomplishments for me is sort of learning myself as an individual and seeing in the perspective of other people that, hey, just because Brandon is a, DePaul finance major doesn't mean that he doesn't have, the same compassion as, say, another Columbia RA or another RA on staff, and sort of, building my own mindset on how I wanted to relay myself to other residents and people on my team, because it's an important part of how we all operate together is when we really understand, sort of where we're coming from as students and as people too. And I think that's also one of the biggest things in terms of how, I've grown as an RA throughout the year. I talked to Tanisha a lot about this, and she mentions that, the leadership and compassion and energy that I'm trying to bring to this is something that I've also been developing throughout the year as well, and helping residents and, the team as well, in terms of just giving people the support where they need it, and also bringing my own energy in terms of, the way that I, am during training and just helping out people and, answering questions for those who are too nervous to ask the Recs or kind of want to just learn more from the perspective of me, and for residents too, I think is an important part of what I hope to bring to the team next year and what I'm still kind of working on now. And I think that's really the beauty of it, is that we're still all sort of growing as RAs, even as the year goes on. And, now that we understand more of how this job works, and even for the returners that are still learning new things as sort of the job adapts, is another important part of how we all sort of hope to grow and help each other. And I think it's one of the things that I'm glad I'm able to kind of further develop between not only this job, but in my own life as well. And I think that's another part of, why I've been and plan to stay motivated for this job next year, and how I've been staying motivated for it now is that I really learn a lot from this job. I learn a lot from other residents, from other RAs, from other personal experiences, even from the Recs too, and sort of hearing their own perspective on how they approach certain parts of the job is that, we're always learning new things about this job, and that's something that I really enjoy. I like jobs that have this sort of unique variety in things that you do, even if it's sort of the similar schedule over and over, is that nothing's ever the same over and over again. There's always some new things to do. There's always new ideas that we share. There's always new residents that come to the building. There's always new programs to be had, and that's sort of the biggest thing, is that I think that this job has a lot to look forward to for next year, and that's what I plan to stay, motivated for, is to still grow myself as an individual, because next year I will be a senior and I will be sort of at the end of my academic career, and I hope to, bring the most that I can for the last year that I worked as an RA, if I'm given the opportunity to. And I think that's another big part of, me reflecting on how I build community as well, and the positive impact I've made on my floor on the 11th floor here at the UC, is that, I had this big Smash Brothers tournament that I hosted with Drew and Mohammed, and we sort of had this big mentor-mentee program with Momo and everyone else, and we had a really huge turnout with 35 plus residents. I've had a couple other programs here and there that have, helped out with DePaul kids, that have helped out with, Columbia kids, and sort of all the different residents on the building. And it seemed that a lot of people on the floor, recognize me and know who I am as an individual, and not just as an RA, but rather as a person, which I think is more important, is that, when we build community here, we don't want everybody to think that, oh, we're just the RA, that we're a person and that we're a resource for people too. And I think that that's sort of reflected on, certain students on my floor and throughout the building as well. And I think that's an important part, and also helping similar majors as well. For me being a business major, you don't see a lot of other, finance major RAs. And so, for those who are still kind of exploring their path, or for returning DePaul students who don't really know where they're going, it's nice to hear from the perspective of an RA who's sort of on that path already. And I think that's something that I enjoy sharing as well, and that some people have reached out to me for. And Also returning to the Residence Life team is another thing that I've thought about as well, and giving the opportunity to mentor. And I think that that's something that some of the new RAs have already been working on, is that we're all sort of mentors to each other in this big team, and that not one RA is solely responsible for mentoring another. I think is an important part of it. We're all sort of have this team mindset on where we help each other. We had 2 new RAs join this team with Kaylin and Tristan, and sort of looking at supporting a new RA. And I think that's also a big part of what Jesse and Momo have provided for me as well. My Jesse being my roommate and Momo being my actual mentor. You sort of learn new things from other people as you grow throughout the job, and even from some of the new RAs too. And that's something that I hope to bring in terms of the individuality that I've been growing with my own leadership and compassion. Is I want to be that resource for other people as well. As I sort of get adjusted to this job more and more, and start to learn more about my own character and how that can bring a positive impact towards other people and other residents on the floors. So I hope you consider this application. Thanks for all the opportunities that I've been given throughout this job. I hope to bring it to the whole staff next year, and sort of meet new people and sort of be that returning resource for others. And it's something that I really appreciate, and that I'm glad I've been given this opportunity, regardless if I'm able to do it again next year or not. So thank you, and I hope you reconsider my application.